building your collection process around payment security, and then just letting your customers have more control over their payments. We'll be following up after this webinar with some additional information. If everyone could just go on mute, that'd be awesome. So we're not competing, but please feel free to type your questions in the chat box, and then we'll address them at the end. Now I'd like to turn it over to Fawaz with Nodus Technologies.
Thank you so much, Taylor. Hello, everyone. This is Fawaz with Nodus Technologies. Just wanted to confirm one thing. First of all, please let me know if, Taylor, I'm going to unmute you. Can everyone hear me properly? And can you see the screen? Right now, you should be able to see ePayment processing and AR automation. Taylor, can you hear me?
Yes, I think we're good.
Oh, awesome. Perfect. Thank you. Okay, awesome. So once again, thank you. Thanks for the introduction, Taylor. My name is Fawaz. I represent Nodus Technologies. Today, we're going to be talking about electronic payments and AR automation. Accounts receivables is it's a heartline for any business. It's a very, very important area of our business. There are many things associated. There are many issues related to accounts receivables that often we don't keep under consideration. So today, essentially, what we're going to be looking at is first we're going to identify what is an inefficient AR process. What makes your AR process inefficient, and what can you do to improve that process? And after that, we will also talk about a very, very important subject, which is security, and what is PCI compliance. How can you not only streamline, but also improve and secure, most importantly, secure your payment processing, your collection process. And then at the end, we're going to show you how Nodus can help you. What can we do as an organization, along with our partner Conexus? What can we do together to help you streamline and secure your receivables process? As Taylor mentioned, we do have all the lines on mute right now. Feel free to use the chat window if you have any questions. Towards the end of the session, we will go ahead and we will open up the mics for any Q&A. So let's start off with identifying what exactly is an inefficient process. There are four important parts that basically makes your receivable process inefficient. One, manual labor, if you're doing anything manually, then second is inconvenience. If your customers are not happy, if you're not providing a convenient method for your customers, excuse me, if you're not providing convenient method for your customers to make payments, that is also big part of inefficiency. Then obviously, if you're doing any double entry, you don't want to do that. And then four, and very importantly, risk of fraud. If you have an inefficient process, if you're not doing your AR processes in a secure manner, then you are exposed to a huge risk of fraud. So the four areas that we're going to focus on today, which will essentially help you improve your accounts receivables process, is number one, automation. You do want to automate everything, so this way you are putting as least labor as possible, from zero to none probably. And then after that, convenience. Customer convenience is very important. If you have a happy customer and who has a convenient method of paying you, they will pay you. You will get paid on time, which is very important for an organization to keep when it comes to reducing your AR and shortening up your days outstanding, outstanding DSO. And then after that, integration. We're all GP user here, or if you have a powerful accounting tool like GP, then integration is very important. You have made an investment in having a strong accounting system, then why not have that system automatically work for you, have things be integrated so you don't have to do any double entry or manual entry. And then most importantly, security. We're going to talk about how can you improve security, what options you have, what can you do to make your processes secure. So automation, very important. You got to automate your tasks so your employees don't have to do everything manually. This saves their time. They can focus on more important responsibilities, and most importantly, it also eliminates any chance of human error. What exactly is a manual process? This is essentially, it says it's a manual process, but in reality, this is basically what a typical AR process is. And anyone online who does receivables or is part of the accounting team can relate to this. Let's say if you're invoicing your customers, so first you will have to send them emails or mail them the invoices, whether you're sending them in a post mail or you're emailing your customers those invoices. So individually distributing the invoice, that's a part of it. After that, once those invoices are sent, you're going to send them reminders, remind them about their payments. You have to keep sending them reminders over and over again. And then finally, when it comes to collect the payment, they will either call you or they, over the phone, they have to read you the credit card number, or they will probably mail you a check, which can also take some time. Then you have to take the check, you have to process it. Um, the credit card, if you want to process it manually, otherwise you have to take the check to the bank. Once the payment is processed, you're going to send the confirmation receipt to the customer, letting them know that you have already processed their payment. And then after that, at the end, you're going to come back to your accounting system and you're going to enter that payment, make sure that your books are reflected. So this is all steps, all these steps you have to take just to collect payment from your customers. There are a lot of problems associated with it, obviously. Sending invoices, many times your customer can say, oh, I never received an invoice. So apparently they can get lost in transit. After that, you have to reach your customer over and over again just so you can get a hold of them for your collection team to get the payment information from them. And also, if you don't provide an automatic way or like a self-service method for the customers to make a payment, then they would have to wait for your business hours to make sure that you're open so they can call you and make a payment. So that's very inconvenient for the customer and also for your team. And then after that, in case, let's say if the payment is declined, the credit card didn't go through, then all of this process starts all over again. Get a hold of a customer, process a payment. Now I'm trying to identify all these areas because this is some of the areas that we overlook. We don't think about how much time we're spending, and obviously with time there's money associated. The biggest part of all this is the actual labor process that goes in this actual labor that goes in this process. On average, 80% of your AR collection expense comes from the labor cost. Now, this slide actually shows you a summary of a study that was done for a company that was producing 600 invoices a month. Now, 600 invoices may sound like a big number to some of you guys. For some, it may not be. It's somewhat of an average for a GP user. We have a lot of customers who do a lot less than that, but we also have a lot of customers who do a lot more than that. So it's kind of like an average 600 invoices. And if you actually break down the cost that they were occurring for the printing, mailing, sending notices, and then receiving the payments, processing the payment, applying those payments. On average, if you put the cost together, as you can see, it was costing them over $6,000, which is over $72,000 a year just on their collection process. And on the right, that pie chart demonstrates how big of that portion is literally just the manual labor, which is preparing and sending those notices, and after that also processing, receiving, and applying payments inside of GP. So all of this is essentially just to kind of give you some numbers that how much money can you spend just to collect your payments. There's a saying that say that you have to spend money to make money, but what a lot of people don't realize that oftentimes we spend so much more money just to collect the money from our customers. So second area of importance, so that was all about the manual labor, but second area is customer convenience. Customer convenience is something very, very important for all of our organizations, every business. Number one, priority is making your customer happy, which is giving them a convenient method of payment. And as we know, if you do give them a convenient method of payment, then they are most likely to pay on time. So this is a study, another study that was done, and I believe this one was actually done by First Data, but we wrote a white paper on it. Now, this study shows that that if you provide a self-service method for customers so they can conveniently make payments on their own time, sort of like an online payment system, like you know how you pay your bill online or how you pay your utility bills online. Your customers are more likely to pay their bills on time. So according to the study, when somebody, a company who implemented this system, 35% of their customers started to started to paying their bills on time. Once a customer, this is another study that was done that says that once a customer is signed up so for an automatic payments or an online bill payment system with you, psychologically they're less likely to leave you. This is something that we all can probably relate to as well. And then another part says that is this actually a pretty fun fact. It says that customers who pay their bills online, they tend to make purchases more from you as well. So your customers, if you're trying to upsell something, then for those customers who are paying their bills online, tend to buy more from you as well. So hey, more sales. So customer convenience is there. The third part of this is integration. Integration is something very important. As I mentioned, you have invested in a very, very strong accounting system, Microsoft Dynamics GP. That's essentially what we're talking about today, the GP. We're going to focus on that. And if you don't bridge the gap between your payments and your accounting system, then you're not utilizing the strength of your accounting system. If you don't have an integrated system, then obviously you're doing everything manually. You're putting doing double entry, like you're entering payment information in your accounting system again. Then obviously when you do double entry, there is always a risk of human error associated with it. Then after that, when everything is done manually, then there is no real-time reporting. So this way you would never know how many payments are coming in unless they've been entered into the system. So no real-time reporting. And then when everything is manually done, then you have to manually reconcile all your payments as well, like what is in your bank, what's in transit, what's in the accounting system. So without integration, all of these issues are related to it. Now, the last part of this is security. Security, as I mentioned, is something very, very important these days. On pretty much on daily basis, we've been hearing news about some data breach or happening. Cyber attacks have gone up significantly. And the cyber attacks are been happening on every size of business, not necessarily a large corporation like Target or Home Depot. Those were the big ones that happened, but also small businesses are being affected a lot too, because sometimes small businesses have weaker firewall system that attacks can easily penetrate through. Now, one thing that a lot of people don't realize is that it is your responsibility when it comes to securing your customers' credit card data. If you are accepting credit card payments from your customer, any payments, whether it's credit card or checks, it is your responsibility to protect that data. There's a council out there. It's called PCI Security Council, stands for Payment Card Industry, PCI Security Council, that ensures that we're all protected, or every cardholder. So you and I, we all have credit cards. PCI Council is what makes sure that we're protected. PCI itself is a huge subject, so we actually do sometimes separate session just on PCI. So I'm only going to give you basically in a nutshell an overview what PCI is. So just to best understand what PCI is, imagine PCI is like traffic cops, like police, right? So there are traffic cops out there who make sure that all the drivers are protected, by enforcing laws like speed limits and all the security like traffic lights and whatnot. So that's exactly what PCI Security Council does. They put all these rules and regulations in place that make sure that we as a card holders, we are protected. And these rules and regulations are imposed on the merchants who are processing customers' credit cards. Each one of us on this call, if we work in an organization, we're representing a business that takes credit card, we are those merchants who are taking credit cards. And PCI is what making sure that we are following everything to the procedure. Um, Initially, PCI was started by Visa and MasterCard to reduce fraud, but now it's enforced and maintained by every card brand. So it has become a mandatory requirement. Now, besides being mandatory requirement of being PCI compliant, another really important part is that if you are not PCI compliant, the chances are that you're not secured because you're not following all the safety regulations. Then there is a chance that you may become a victim of a data breach. Data breach are very, very costly. This is also a study based done from First Data. In my opinion, this is actually a very small number. What I'm looking at, because I have heard significantly larger amount, but on a bigger corporations. But on a small business, an average cost of data breach is $36,000. That's just that may sound like a small money, but for a small business, $36,000 could be a large sum. But the worst part is that when anyone hears a news about you being a victim of data breach, there's a high chance that they may terminate their relationship with you. And this is also some of us can relate to if we heard something that happened like in the news that hey, this website was hacked, so all of a sudden we're going to be make sure that hey, we're not going to put our cards in there again, or we have to be careful. So there's a high chance that your customer might terminate their relationship. So again, PCI Security Council is a large subject. There's a very good website which is not listed here, but I can read it out to you, or you can Google it too. It's called PCISecurityStandards.org, PCISecurityStandards.org, and that's essentially a website that talks about, it's a PCI Security Council's website. I highly recommend taking a note of it. Go there. You can read about what's happening in the world of security, PCI, what are the new trends. Like one of the things that I'm sure you've all heard of, that the SSL certificate being replaced by TLS now. So these are just new security layers. So you can read about all that. Another pretty important thing that you can see on this website is a list of every validated payment application. Now, any company like Nodus, any software company who makes application that touches credit card in any shape or form, they must get validated from PCI Security Council. So as a company, what we do is we make sure that all of our application, anything that we're offering, they must go through the PCI certification process. Once they are stamped, but they have a stamp of approval and they've been certified, that's when we roll it out to our customers. So it's important. So you can see the list of, so if you put Nodus Technologies, you will be able to see all the payment application that Nodus offers, which has been validated. So let's talk about security a little bit more. But before I'm going to show you, I'm about to jump into the demo, and I'm going to show you exactly what all of this looks like. Now, to improve security, PCI Security Council has created, or well, not just PCI Security actually. Sorry, let me take that back. To improve security, the companies have come up with this method called tokenization, which essentially helps you significantly actually with securing your process. So what is tokenization? Tokenization is a process in which you don't store any credit card on your environment. So let's face it, I know as much as we don't want to process credit cards because of security, our customers want to pay by credit card. Credit card methods has been paying by credit card has is probably most preferred method by every customer. So that's why we still have to offer. Obviously, as businesses, we have to offer them. So what the industry has done is industry came up with a method called tokenization that as an organization, you can accept credit cards, but you will keep it off-site somewhere outside of your system. So this way, you're not responsible and you're not putting any credit card data on your environment. That actually significantly reduces your scope of PCI compliance, and then at the same time, it makes the process of being compliance easier because now you're not storing anything on file. Initially, this was started off by payment gateways like Authorize.net or PayPal. These payment gateways were storing the credit card for you. But there were some problems associated with that. And one of the biggest problem is that if you tokenize your credit card with one payment gateway, then you're technically forced to stay with them. So you cannot shop around for better rates. You cannot choose another processor without losing all the credit card because they try to make it sticky by not, by keeping your credit cards with them. So what we did is this is where we have introduced our own method of credit tokenization is called PayFabric. PayFabric is Nodus's payment engine. It's a cloud-based payment engine. PayFabric has two major responsibilities. So essentially what PayFabric is PayFabric is a cloud-based payment processing and storage system. It has two major responsibilities. One is a storage system, so stores all the credit card data over here. So if you ever want to store any credit card data on file, it will be stored here, and whether it's a credit card or ACH data, it will be stored on the cloud. So you're not going to store anything on your servers. Secondly, it's a payment processing system. So what it does, it works with pretty much all the major payment gateways out there to process the payment. So this way, you're not stuck with one payment gateway. You can choose around. You can find, when you get a better rate, you can always move around. So it's a payment storage and a process solution. At the bottom is connected with all of our applications. So we have connected this with GP using our credit card advantage tool. We have connected this with our online bill pay system, which I'm going to show you today, our ePay Advantage tool. This is connected to our e-commerce, our shopping cart, which is B2B and a B2C e-commerce solution, and our credit card processing solution for Microsoft Dynamics CRM. Plus, there are many other software companies who are embedding PayFabric within their application. So a lot of those, because PayFabric does have an open API, that technically you can use in any other application you have. So if you have any other web store or any application that you're working, you can use PayFabric API to process the payment. But the important part is that with PayFabric, there are three very important areas or things that gets eliminated from your environment. These are the three areas where PCI Security Council is most strict on. Number one is storage. You're not storing anything on your servers because everything is on the cloud. Secondly, transmission. Because no credit card data is stored on your server, then all the process happens between PayFabric and the gateways. So all the processing happens between PayFabric and the gateway. So you're not transmitting anything because that's also an area where PCI Council is strict on that. How do you transmit the credit card data to the gateway? Now, in this case, you're not doing that. And third, and probably very importantly, is point of entry. So we have eliminated the point of entry from your environment. So what we do is we have created what we call a hosted payment entry screens. What that means is that even inside of GP, if you process a payment, the window where you type the credit card number, it looks like it's part of GP, but in reality, it's not part of GP. It's actually an iframe that's coming directly from the PayFabric. Likewise, if somebody comes to your website to pay their bill, which I'm going to show you just now, then the window where the customer enters a credit card number is not part of the website, it's not part of the portal, it's actually an iframe coming directly from the PayFabric. So this means is that the credit card data during processing, including at the time of initial entry, the credit card number will never be exposed to your servers, not even for the initial entry, not going to be stored. So this will make your process of PCI compliance super easy, and it will significantly secure your payment processing. And like I said, when I show you, a lot of this will probably it will be easier to understand when you visualize it. But this is just an overview, like a bird's eye view of what the payment security architecture looks like and how PayFabric is connected to our applications. So now I'm actually going to show you, start off with the online bill pay system and show you how you can use ePay Advantage to streamline your AR collection process. Okay. So let me switch my screen here. So what I have on the screen right now is a login page for the ePay, our online bill pay portal. Now, a couple quick notes. ePay is an online bill pay portal which is fully integrated with GP. This is essentially what allows your customers to go online and pay their invoices on their own. So what ePay does is ePay brings all the invoice data from GP over to the portal. So this way customers can your customers can have a self-service portal where they can make payments, and ePay integrates all those payments back to GP. So a couple things to note real quick. First of all, this is an on-premise solution, so we will install this on your server. Otherwise, if you want to use a third-party hosting company, you can do that as well. But as I mentioned, no matter where you install ePay, it does utilize its PayFabric cloud in the back end. So the even if you decide to install ePay on your server, the credit card numbers will not be on your servers. So now, secondly, because it's an on-premise type of deployment, you will have full access to the design code behind it, like the HTML code and the ASPX pages, because this is an ASP.NET based application. So you can modify the look and feel however you want to. You don't even have to call it ePay if you don't want to call it ePay. You can, you call it whatever you want. You can put your logo's own color. So please ignore the look and feel as we go. This is how it comes out of the box. This is how we deploy it. And after that, you will be able to rebrand this and make all the cosmetic changes as you like. So what you're looking at is the out-of-the-box ePay Advantage solution. So what is ePay? So as I mentioned, ePay is an online payment system. How does it work? And let me explain you, then I'll show it to you. So let's say if you have an invoice in GP. The moment you post that invoice in GP, two things happen. One, ePay brings that invoice to its portal immediately. So the moment the invoice is posted, ePay will bring that invoice over here right away. And secondly, ePay sends right away an email notification letting the customer know that there's an invoice available. And you can even attach the PDF of it. So this way, every time you post an invoice, ePay will distribute that invoice and will send notification to the customer that invoice is available on the portal. Customer can come to the portal, they can view that invoice, they can download it, they can print it, and then they can make a payment. They can pay by checks or credit cards. Payment gets processed in real time, and upon successful process, ePay will send that payment back to GP, will apply it to the corresponding invoices inside of GP. So all of this happens in a very seamless, integrated, and pretty much in a real-time manner. So let's look at that. Right now, I'm going to log in as a customer. So when a customer logs in, the customer is taken to their outstanding invoices page where they can see a list of all their outstanding invoices. This is my sample company, so I have a lot of open invoices in here. Your customers may not have this many open invoices at a time. You may have more than this. Now, as a customer, I can click on any of this invoice to see the invoice details. I can see the details of this invoice. I can print a copy of this. I can, download a PDF of this if I want. So these are all my invoices listed over here. So on this portal, I can see my outstanding invoices. I can also see my historical invoices. So these are all the old historical invoices, the ones that are paid. And this is not necessarily from the time ePay was implemented. Because this data is being pulled directly from GP, you can go as far back in history as you want. I can also see my payment history, all the payments that were made on my account, regardless if they were made from ePay, whether they were made from GP or manual, any payment that's in my account will be listed here. And then at the same time, as a customer, if you want, you can also allow them to see what credit they have on file with you. And not only see that credit, they can also apply that credit towards one of their outstanding invoices. So this way they can see the credits, they can see their whole account, they can see their balances, they can see what's outstanding, and then they can make a payment. By the way, this everything that you see, this whole page is mobile friendly, so it's built on the latest responsive design. So if your customer is accessing this through a cell phone, it will automatically adjust according to the cell phone screen size. So as you can see, if now this menu has changed and became like this, and now you can actually see the details of the invoice like this. And then over here you can select multiple invoices to pay. This is a pay button. So the point is that if most users, majority of the traffic accessing internet these days is through a mobile device, and this is responsive, so it will automatically adjust on that mobile device. You can allow your customers to pay these invoices in full, or if you want, you can allow them to make partial payments. So I can pay $100 on this invoice. If I want, I can pay $200 on this one, and I can pay like maybe $50 on this one. Again, if you don't want to allow partial payments, you don't have to. It's just an option. You can also, there's also an option here for prepayment. So you can utilize this portal to take prepayments or deposits from your customer. Prepayment and deposit is like it's a payment that's not associated to an invoice. So so essentially, it creates an unapplied cash receipt for you inside of GP. And then if you want, your customers can even type notes here, and whatever notes they type, these notes will be submitted to GP with that payment. So right now I'm going to pay these 3 invoices, this amount, so total that I'm paying is $350. When I hit next, it takes me to my review and payment page where I can see one more time what am I paying, what my total is, and I can also see what credit card information I have on file with you. Now there's another feature that we have added here, which some of our customers really like. It's a surcharge. You can impose a surcharge on your payments. You don't have to, you can call it whatever you want. You don't have to call it a service fee. You can call it a service fee, portal fee, convenience fee, anything you want. But the point is that if you want to impose a surcharge, you can. This could be a fixed amount, or it could be a percentage base. So it could be a percentage of an amount, or it could be a fixed amount. And essentially what happens is you can also set it up if you want in a way that if I pay by credit card, there's a service fee. If I pay by check, there is no service fee. So some customers like to use this to offset some of their processing fees. Again, it's up to you if you want to use that. My payment option, these are all the credit card information that I have saved with you. All of this is in PayFabric Cloud, so none of this is on the cloud. Also on the server, all of this is on the cloud. And then for credit card, there's more security like CVV2 code. If you want to impose customers to enter, they can do that. You can pay now or pay later. If I do pay later, it will save this information and it will automatically process on that date. So you can allow your customer to schedule future payments. And then if you want, you can put in your legal terms and conditions here. This is a template. You can put in whatever you want in here. And you can make it mandatory that they must agree to your terms and conditions before they check out. So right now, I'm going to go ahead and make this payment. I'm going to submit this. It's going to process this in real time. So this way, if it's declined, I will get a decline message immediately. So this way, you don't have to deal with declines. You don't have to chase any declined credit card payments. The customer will be prompted to enter the new credit card number if it was declined. In this case, the payment went through and is approved. It's approved, so you can actually see this approval message, a confirmation right here that shows that the payment went through. Now, a copy of this confirmation has already been emailed automatically to the customer for the record, so you don't have to send any manual emails. The system has automatically sent in confirmation. Along with that, this payment has been generated in GP and has already been applied to these invoices for these amounts. So all of this is automatic. So just to show you what it looks like, I'm going to copy this payment number. Again, I'm only doing this just to show you what this looks like. Payment number 1446. And if I go to GP, transactions, sales, and cash receipts, so the system has automatically created a cash receipt. So if I enter this payment number here, I will see that this payment came into GP immediately. And not only that it came into GP right away, everything is mapped out. So if I hit the apply button, everything is mapped out, everything is applied to the right invoices for the right amount. So no manual entry, no data entry. You don't have to figure out which payment goes to which invoice. You don't have to create any cash receipts. Everything is done automatically for you. The system creates a daily batch. By default, the naming convention says ePay and today's date on it. So it says ePay and today is 2017, August 18th. So this way, any payment for today, all payments for today will come in this batch as they're being processed. And so next day you can come in, you can review the batch, and then after that you can post it however you want. So this is how essentially how online bill pay system work. There are lots and lots of other features of online bill pay tool which will help you tremendously streamline your collection process. This will also help you now, like things like customers can sign up for automatic payments. So you know how for your cell phone bill, you can keep a credit card on file. This way, whatever your bill is automatically paid. Uh, it can work that way as well. Plus, it has a whole customer service side. So this way, if your internal team reps want to log in, they can do that. So as a customer service rep, I can log in. I can view any of my customers' account. So if I click on this, I can see, let's say if I'm on the phone with American Science Museum, I can see what they owe me. And then after that, I can process a payment on behalf of a customer. I can set up like recurring billing contracts. I can set up installment contracts for installment payments. So many features that comes along with it. During this time, I'm not going to go through each one of these features in depth. I would be more than happy to connect with you. If you want to see this more in depth, please contact your representative at Conexus, at Taylor or Christina, and then they will be more than happy to schedule a time in which I can actually show you this from directly from and we talk about how exactly this would work in your environment. So having said that, so now I'm gonna just to kind of quickly wrap up on this. I want to again thank you for joining. Now, as a company, Nodus, we are a Microsoft's Gold certified ISV. We're a software vendor that Microsoft certified software vendor. We have been in GP business for more than 15 years now, so pretty much ever since Microsoft had GP, these applications has been around, so they've been evolved a lot over the years. They're very, very tightly integrated with GP. We have over 1,400 GP customers who are using these applications, and now, as I mentioned, as a company, we do work very, very closely with the PCI Security Council to ensure that all of our applications are always up to date with the latest compliance regulations, and also to ensure that we are always up to date with whatever is happening in the PCI industry. Notice as a company, we specialize in e-commerce and electronic payment applications that integrate with GP, CRM, and some other tools now, but GP is our main area of focus. Our flagship product, Credit Card Advantage, is our credit card processing solution for GP, which allows you to process credit cards within GP. ePay is our online bill pay application. And then e-commerce, we talked about Pay Fabric. And then recently we have also created an application called PayLink. PayLink is essentially what allows you to collect payments from your customer. You can send a hyperlink directly from GP in an email or a text message from GP to a customer if you want to collect payment from them. So as a company, As I said, that all these solutions will help you tremendously reduce the burden of PCI compliance and the challenges that are associated with the encryption and security. We do have some very, very good relationship with some of the merchant service providers out there. We have helped our customers significantly save money on their processing side because we do have relationship where we can help negotiate rates and get you a better processing rate. And our tools can help you against fraud protection, and we do support both US and international payment gateways. So having said that, thank you again for joining. I'm going to hand it back to Taylor. If you have any questions, now is the time. Taylor, back to you. Can you hear me?
I can. Well, yeah, thanks everybody for participating in our webinar today. I will be following up with some additional information about Nodus and their offerings. And as Fawaz said, yeah, please just let us know if you'd like to schedule a demo, a deeper dive session to look more in depth at these solutions. Just stay tuned for more information. Does anybody have any questions?
Hi, Taylor. It's Joseph. I have a question.
Yes, sir.
In regards to ePay Advantage, when somebody does a partial pay, does it go into GP as a partial payment being applied to the account, and short pays go in properly that way as well?
Yes, that is correct. So inside of GP, so what I did in my example, I actually did do a partial payment. So what happened over here was this payment that I just processed, it was actually partially on these invoices. So it will see, as you can see, that it will apply the right amount to the right invoice, just the way I wrote on that, just the way I selected on the portal, and it will tell you what the amount remaining is. So it basically applies the partial payment to that invoice.
Okay. And then, if you don't mind, I have another question, I guess.
Please.
So my other question then is that sounds great. But can we stop people? Like, can we just accept account like ACH, I guess, through the online bill pay or check numbers or something, as opposed to credit cards? Do we have to accept credit cards, or can we turn that feature off if we'd like?
That's a very good question, and I'm sorry if I didn't mention it earlier. You do have a lot of flexibility on how you want. You can turn off credit cards, you can turn off ACH, you can enable both. In fact, in the next version that we're going to release, we're also going to put an option where you can decide which customers you want to pay with what method, so you can do that offering. So to answer your question, yes, you can absolutely disable you can disable payments in general. We have some customer who just use this portal for their customers just to view their invoices and download historical invoices and whatnot. But if you want to disable a specific payment type, you can absolutely do that.
Okay, that sounds great. We have a lot of invoices. I mean, some customers, we don't do like large dollar invoices. We do each invoice for each transaction. Maybe we have, a transaction that's $300 or $400, but some customers may have, 600 of those. Is there a way for somebody just to click apply all or something like that feature if they want to pay all of those at one time, or is that functionality?
Absolutely. So there is a select all button that they can just select all of them and pay at the same time. At the same time, we do have this advanced search feature built in. So if they do want to filter out some of those invoices and pay only those, they can do that as well. They can do select all. Sometimes in that large, so because we do have some customers who have hundreds and hundreds of invoices open at the same time. So we have also embedded this feature where they can export a list too, because some of them actually uses some sort of a AP tool in-house, so they can export it, so they can then they can just use their AP tool to make payments. But the point is that yes, they can do select all, and they can even filter invoices.
Well, it sounds great. Appreciate the answers.
No worries. Thank you.
Thanks, Fawaz. Do we have any other questions? Going once. Going twice. All right, thanks again, everybody. I'll be in touch with some more information. Have a great afternoon and a wonderful weekend.
Thank you, Taylor. You too. Thanks, everyone. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.